The rest of the Death Korps releases are finally here.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com. And in this video, we're going to do all the things, right? So the new Death Korps releases are finally here. So we're going to talk about the prices real quick on that, because it's important to compare and contrast to past releases, and also the Kill Team release for the Death Korps Infantry is different from this Infantry box set that we showed you, I guess back in 2021, where we're going to unbox and build the two new kits that didn't come in the Army box. That's, of course, the Heavy Weapon Team and also, the Command Squad, which I really dig the Command Squad, kind of like the old Forge World Quartermaster team, if you remember that one way back in the day. But what's cool about this is that there is a way to do the heavy weapons and make them modular, so you can switch them out to be any one of the three that you need without magnets or without any real lot of hard work, honestly. And I'm not going to purposely show you something until the end to see if you even notice it, because some people might, that's a deal breaker, but I don't feel like it is, because I feel like it matches the aesthetic of the old Forge World kits from way back in the day. So let's jump right into it. Let's unbox and build the new kits, and then talk about how to make these things modular to save you some more hobby dollars. Now, something else I wanted to show you before we got into the actual unboxing was a really neat bits conversion kit that you can get from Magnet Baron for the regular heavy weapon team. So if you don't have the Forge World kits and you want las cannons and you want heavy bolters or a mortar or the rocket launcher, and well, you're gonna have to kind of do some conversion on the gunners. But that being said, if you buy one box of the Imperial Guard heavy weapon teams, these guys right here, what you can do is, because it comes with 3 of each weapon, right? So you can get all the versions if you buy this upgrade kit from Magnet Baron. It's pretty affordable. I think, what is it? Something silly, like $15. And you get all the rest of the parts that you're going to need to make all the rest of the weapons. He even gives you bases. So if you're looking to kind of kit out the rest of your Death Korps army with the traditional heavy weapons from the book, that the ones that aren't dedicated Death Korps ones that we're going to show you today, the Krieg heavy weapon squad, but you can still play these guys and get some, get some crew for them that don't necessarily have to be Cadians. I mean, you could even use the ones from this if you really want to. And just kind of tack them down or what have you. But it's just a really neat way to get the most for your money for a mere $15 more. And then, at this rate, the heavy weapon team isn't even $65, which seems to be the going rate for a kit these days in 2025. So you add in the $14 and boom, you've pretty much got the same price kit with all the options as everything else out there, I suppose. So to me, it seems like a good value. I haven't done this yet because I have the Forge World ones, and my problem there is I need to shrink them down to 50mm bases. We'll see if I do it, but that's my hobby challenge when it comes to the Death Korps. I guess I should have also mentioned the fact that there is a combat patrol, a new combat patrol. So it looks like the old, version of the combat patrol that I guess came out in 2022, maybe 2023. I don't even remember anymore. It's not that old, to be honest with you. It was basically what came in the Cadia Stan's army set. That is now the out-of-print combat patrol for Guard, and now they have a new one, which I don't have here because we've already unboxed all the stuff that comes with Casterkin. 2 squads of the Rough Riders, which aren't the Rough Riders from the Death Korps. I know it gets confusing, but they're a different squad. And then I think what was the other thing? It comes with Command Squad or something. I think it is a Command Squad. Yeah. So that's only four squads that come in that box, but it's still a pretty good value, even though it is $170. So that is also new this week. We have unboxings for all that stuff, so look for it here on the channel if you're really interested in it. But this is what we're going to focus on in this video, and of course I didn't take the shrink wrap off this because there's no need. So the Death Korps Krieg, let's start here. The Death Korps Krieg box set is $52. Now, what's cool and what's cool about this? This is the same models that came out in 2021 for Kill Team. However, they don't have that extra Kill Team sprue in here, so they're $52 for this box as opposed to the $65 for the Kill Team Infantry box, which just came out in November of 2024, believe it or not. Okay, moving on. We've got the Death Korps Heavy Weapon Squad box, which I think this one is 60. I forget. Nope, my mistake. This one is $52 as well, and it comes with the 3 heavy weapon teams here, and we're going to show you how to make this, well, how to make it modular. So you can use all of them without having to buy a kit from Magnet Baron, because I don't know if he's going to get to one. I mentioned it to him. I was like, well, let me do the video and we'll see. And now I'm going to call him back and be like, yo, you don't have to worry about it because you really don't need to do anything. Unless there's one thing, and we'll talk about that. We'll see how quick you guys catch on to it, and then I will hit you with it at the end. And then there's the Command Squad, which is $45, which is the same as the other Command Squad, which now comes in the Combat Patrol, or you can get it separate for $45. Got it? Okay, that was a lot of talking. Let's get into looking at some product. We'll start off with the Krieg Command Squad. Now, something that I wanted to mention too and show you on this is it's got a whole different bunch of versions or bits, options, whatever you want to call them, words. Words are tough right here. That you can do from assault weapons, which technically don't matter in this edition, but as they've mentioned, curiously, GW has this way of just like saying things randomly in one spot with an asterisk, or just casually mention it in a video. And next thing you know, a year later, that's what they're doing. That's the pivot. So they did mention that Meltas really shouldn't be the same points as like a Flamer or a Plasma, and they probably shouldn't in game, to be quite honest with you. So we'll see what happens with 11th edition. But that's why I still advocate, making your stuff modular and future-proofing it, because even though it might not air quotes matter right now, it could very well matter in the near future now that GW has their app game on point and can really seem to, roll that stuff out and take care of it in a way that they haven't previously been able to. So that's pretty neat to see. Now, let's jump into the sprue. I just want to mention the options there. So it's not a whole lot, They do give you the extra third of a sprue right there, which is cool. They'll definitely give you a lot of options in that, and we'll take a closer look at that here in a second. But I did want to show you the instructions, which I think are always the telltale. So this is pretty much a standard build here for guardsmen and things. You could magnetize some parts of this if you really wanted to, like the plasma pistol or the 20 arm / power fist. They are all different bits, and you can use a little 1/16 inch magnet. I kind of wanted to for this, but with the really bad weather around the area and just a lot of things going on, I just wasn't able to. But we've done this in the past. It would be the same size magnet as the shoulders on a Space Marine, the shoulder sockets. Now, when it comes to something like this, this would be a bit more difficult to do when doing like the plasma pistol or any of these options over here. You would have to use a much smaller magnet, and I'm not super sure it's worth it. It works better when you're doing it in something like the fist here, and I've had really good success with this in the past. That would work pretty good here, and then you just have to kind of drill into this area right here for a magnet itself. But that's a lot of work, and I know a lot of times when it comes to guard or something like this, this isn't a Space Marine, so like building and dedicating a Space Marine is a little bit different from building and dedicating a guards dude that you're probably going to have a bunch of these at some point. So that's really up to you. It is super doable, and I love this little WoW stick that I have, and this thing's great for doing, well, that one's too small, but you can do up to 1/8 of an inch magnet, and obviously that isn't even going to get to that for this one, so it would be very easy to do if you had that tool. And then it's just got the magnet, or the medic, and also the banner guy there. So nothing too crazy. It comes with a decal sheet, the larger base, I think, for the commissar, and then everybody else is still on a 25. Sprue wise, like I said, it's the 2 sprue or the 3 sprue configuration, or 1.5 of the squad sprue, whatever you want to do. And the stuff looks great. I mean, there's splits like you saw just a second ago on some of this stuff here. It isn't like the torso and stuff like it used to be with Cadians, and even the commissar dude is just kind of, actually, is that the commissar dude? I already forgot. Might be. Yeah, it is the commissar dude. Okay. So I'm not going crazy. And then you got the extra parts to go on his base too, which I guess is why he has the bigger base. But, the flag and everything's embossed. These were a lot of the teaser rumor images bits that we saw in the Advent calendar, the last Advent calendar they didn't do one this year because they're having so many problems with production and trying to slow things down, or speed things up. It really just kind of depends. And then you've got everything over here, including some of the base bits and such. And here you can see that. So it's already partially drilled out, which is nice. But it makes it a little difficult sometimes. So you'd have to get a slightly bigger drill bit just to hit that, and then go a little wider for a magnet. Now, next up is the heavy weapon squad itself, which is, from the weight of this, a bit bigger. So you're going to get an extra half sprue there. So like I said, they are on 50mm bases. And then there's the little spotter guy, I guess. Honestly, I haven't looked at what that even is, but he's on a 25mm. And he'll go in the back. And it's 2 full sprues, full squad sprues. We'll show you those in a second because it's going to be interesting to talk about. Taking a look at the instructions. Here we go. They don't really break down the sprues configuration, things like that. That's okay. We'll figure it out here. So the fire coordinator guy. Okay. He looks neat. Very easy to put together. And like I said, you could, in theory, use him or get a bunch of him, or if you know somebody that's, not going to use all their things, you could use that and some interchangeable arms and things from, if you have a lot of those squads from the kill team, you could get some extra arms and such, make a bunch of different poses and kind of mix him in with your heavy weapon, the ones that come with Cadian guys, if you really wanted to, because otherwise you're kind of stuck with these two or these 3 guys, which I guess technically these are pretty much the same, but this guy's a little different. So there's no more like dudes laying on their bellies and such doing the gunner thing. They go together pretty standard, and then you have your choice of packs to put on the front once you get the carriage together. And they are all the same carriage. They are all the same bits. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting in how we can do a bit of modularity. So the stubber is a different set of weapon mounts than the other 2, the last cannon and the flamer, right? So that's part 13, part 14, and then this is part 7 and part 8. So obviously this one would be very easy. You just build it like normal, and you put it on there because that's the only version of that, and you're good to go. It will just kind of slot right into there, a little peg and hole system. Now over here, this and the heavy flamer are going to share the same mount. Also, when it comes to the heavy flamer, it has a feed going to the backpack, which is also I don't quite understand the like, what do you do? You unhook and you run around with the hose, little gas coming out. I don't know what that's about, but it's the Grimdark. It's hard to define. So there is a little bit that you can kind of glue on there if you really want, but I'll show you. I kind of have an idea for that already. So going back to this, what I think might happen is these might be able to pop in and pop out depending on how much flex you have with this. But also, if these 2 halves go together, chances are they will kind of pop in securely to this hole right here, depending on what we have there. So the only thing that I see here that's a limiter is 2 particular bits, and I'm going to see if you pick up on that after I show you the stuff. Oh, and of course, this is the one and only shovel bit that we get for the whole range. Thanks, GW. It's literally a meme. You give us little puppy dogs and things, but only 1 shovel. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, let's take a look at the sprues here. Okay, so here's your 2 sprues, all set up, ready to go. And I'm just going to leave them down here on the ground because it looks like it's really good looking in the image here. So you've got your 3 last cannons, you got your 3 stubbers, halvesies, and then your flamer over here, which is, these are, actually I thought these were, oh, it's got the barrel at that. Yeah, okay. So the barrel's somewhere on here. Oh, it's just a mount. Okay, that makes more sense. So it's this mount thing right here, and then the flame. Okay, all right. We're not big dummies. Well, maybe I am, but not you guys. Okay, so here's the different sets of mounts right there, and then you've got a couple of the ammo clips for the ground, and somewhere on here there's a shovel bit. I don't know exactly where it's at. And then the hoses and things for the last cannons, and the hoses and things for the flamer. So it's all pretty laid out, and you're not going to have a whole lot of bits, it doesn't look like. But there's your carriages and things. So I think it's pretty straightforward on this one. It's going to be curious to compare them to the 4 joule size ones. Back to the command squad. This was all a fun build. So here's the commissar. Try to keep it in focus there. So here's the commissar with a really cool little terrain bit down there, looking super fresh, and it's got, power feed too, which was interesting to build. I didn't notice that on the instructions, but definitely a fun one there. And then look at that really cool banner. That thing is just sick. Now, I don't know. It'd be cool to like sprinkle these in squads. Like if you could get more of these and then have kind of cut up the bullet holes a little bit and have like different dudes in squads with these, I think that would be pretty neat. Went with the Melta because obviously Meltas are the best. Now, I forgot to mention too, you're going to want to, on some of these seam lines and stuff, use a little bit more of the, I like to use the Tamiya super thin cement because it melts it together. And then that way there's no huge gap when you go to primer it and you don't see a big gap down capes and things like that. But this guy's just super fresh. And then I forgot to mention there are little, you know, shovels and things on their packs, but it would have been nice to get like a dedicated one. And then here's the, I guess this is the, I don't even know what this one is. Is he the chemist dude? Or no, he's the medic apothecary dude. There isn't a lot of options for that one. And then this guy's looking super fresh. I mean, I don't know if any of these weapons would ever ultimately matter, because if you put a plasma on there, who cares? If you say it's a bolt pistol down the road, I don't think that's a big problem with anybody. And I really like this carbine that this guy's rocking here, just all on his backpack and such. And then last but not least is the little scribe dude. Just a little floaty skull, guys. No big deal. Just doing either that or it's toilet paper. I don't know which. Double floaty skulls. It's a team. It's a team. Why not? All right. Now let's take a look at the fun one. The Krieg Heavy Weapon Squad. So this was interesting to kind of figure out. So first of all, when you're building it, you're probably going to want to blue tack these guys down to the base here, just so you can line it up with the weapon. Now, we went ahead and built the stubber because there really wasn't anything else to that, because the stubber is the stubber. And you just lock it in right there. And we got it all lined up and it slots in pretty good. So you can, spoiler alert, glue these guys down to the base and they will lock in with all the weapon versions. But what I wanted to show you, here's the last cannon with the mount right here. Now you might notice something. Oh no, it fell apart. Actually, it kind of split down the middle. I use that super thin glue, but sometimes if you kind of flex on it, it will kind of pop and break. But keep this in mind too. I'm just putting, there's the little nubs right there, and I'm just locking it in. But even if it's broken, like say mid-game or something, it will still socket in to here and look fine. Well, except for the derpy glue job on the barrel there that I just noticed. But let's just pretend that didn't happen, shall we? And then even the power pack here, basically, I mean, you're going to put some grit or something on here, so it's not going to be a big deal. But even mid-game, if you flex this to switch it, let me show you what I'm talking about. If you take the mount, and it's kind of like the artillery team. Whoops, I just did it there too. So, well, I guess you got to be a little careful with it, because this was definitely glued. You can see it there, but I flexed it a little too much. It might have a lot to do with all the heat and everything. I've been running a fireplace. It isn't quite as human as it should be in here. But even with that, and I was able to flex it a bunch, and I did it just before this video. Yeah. But it is what it is. Even if this catastrophically falls apart, it's not a big deal, because it is going to socket into here just fine. Don't worry about none of that. Now, let me show you what else I did. Okay, so if you glue the backpack, they want you to glue the backpacks on, but they give you enough backpacks to not have to glue that flamethrower backpack on there. If you glue it just a little to the corner right here, this little wire actually looks like it belongs and it's feeding into the platform itself. And it still locks in. It's still, the dude still holds it. I mean, there might be a little smidge of a gap, like way under there, but why are people picking your models up and looking at them? Be like, if somebody said that to me, I'll be like, why are you bringing up old shit, dog? So it slots right in just fine, and it's all good to go. Boom. And like I said, even if this fell apart, it kind of sticks together itself, but I'll re-glue that afterwards. It isn't a big deal. I just think there's a little bit of atmospheric problems, but once you get it glued and primered, I don't think you're going to have an issue. Now, did you notice it? Here, let me put this back. Okay, so now we got a last cannon weapon team guy, right? Here's the old last cannon. I say old, but it is old. Here's the old blast cannon team from Forge World. Very similar, huh? Just the barrel is a little bit shorter, more and traditional with the plastic designs from Games Workshop. I mean, the Sentinel last cannon, most last cannons look just like that. This one was, you know, about 20, 25 years old at this point, I guess. Inspired by some other stuff. All the parts are super thin and flimsy. These regularly kind of break, and I have to fix them. The power feeds are pretty much the same. They were able to do that. They just weren't able to get these fine details hand sculpting way back in the day. Now, something else to be aware of is there's no weapon cowl on these. Did you notice it? From Forge World, these were just a very traditional kind of look. They didn't have the weapon cowls that they have on these. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even notice I didn't put them on here at first. I was like, okay, yeah, they look like my old ones. And I didn't even notice it. And I'm not sure. And the reason I purposely didn't tell it to you till now is because I didn't want to like skew your you know, ideas or your interpretation or your acceptance of this tutorial, I guess, to be like, well, but Rob, the weapon cowls aren't on there. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? They're not. And it would be very hard to glue them to this for flexing and switching out between the two weapons. That would actually be pretty hard. They're not all on the other guard weapons. So if you're going to mix the two platforms, I feel like they would look fine if you left them off. But a good middle ground, if you really like the look, is you could glue them to the stubbers, because the stubbers are all the same. Like the stubbers are right here, as a matter of fact. You don't have to worry about the mount. So the mounts are glued together because there's nothing to switch them with, and they just lock in. So in theory, you could glue those to this and it would be just fine. But I think that's pretty cool looking too, to be quite honest with you. Like Saving Private Ryan, when they figure out that they can aim those at people, the AA guns. Yeah, that was the thing. Yikes. So I think it looks just fine, but let me know in the comments what you're thinking right there, because, you know, I don't want to be like, hey, don't do it. But I feel like the benefits outweigh the pros are better than the cons on this one, I feel like, because you're going to get all the versions and it's going to be pretty dope. So now let's compare. So I guess we don't technically have any of these other ones, but this is, if you're interested in what the old ones looked like, these are more for the guard heavy weapons. There's those. There's the old ones. We got the mortar, which of course is part of the heavy weapon team now itself. We've got the autocannon, and these are really cool. Like they would have different ones you could buy, like the crew's kind of running and pulling it with its carriage, which really they didn't do in this. And then they have the heavy bolter one, which was really neat because you could have this loose ammo, and they had dudes that were laying flat that could gun it, or holding the little rounds right there. And then this, of course, is the last cannon that I already showed you, the two-man team with the power supply there. And these fall apart a lot, like I mentioned, and I do my best to put him back on here, but he is obviously a gunner that's supposed to be over here. So I might have been drunk at the time. I don't really know what happened there, but let's just pretend that didn't happen. And then, yes, of course, I do need to eventually figure out if I'm going to rebase these on the 50 mils, but we're not there yet. So overall, I think we're pretty spoiled for Death Korps of Krieg new releases this week, and of course, just Astra Militarum in general. The models are great. They all go together very well, and you have some modularity options for the Krieg heavy weapon squad as well, which I think was pretty cool. And we give you some options for the basic one too, if you want to, make that converted up for your Kriegsmen too, and do a whole Krieg's theme thing. But that might take a little bit of work, or maybe there's some 3D prints out there for some gunners that could seamlessly kind of sit next to your plastics. I actually haven't looked, but there's some really good. Station Forge has some really good alternatives. Maker's Cult has some really good alternatives. I don't think Puppets War has any yet, and those are ones just off the top of my head that I've been looking at personally for some replacements. So don't take that as a definitive list, and definitely leave some comments on ones that might be your favorites, because I like looking at them. And I really need some Ogren. I haven't found some good modular augering yet that could be used for Deathcore Krieg, you know, with the face masks and the trench coats or the great coats and everything. So let me know what you're thinking on that one, because I got a few I'm looking at. I haven't quite figured it out yet. But yeah, so that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching our unbox and build of the new kits and some of the old kits from Past Rob there only a few weeks ago. Thanks for watching. Supporting us is super easy. Just click on the article links provided, subscribe, or follow us right here. And remember, next time you're searching for the best Warhammer news, type Spiky Bits into Google to get the most accurate info. See you in the next one.